Well, he gave him a 3-year, $10 million extension. The Patriots don't pay people, especially don't pay the running back position. So if you see that they paid him 3 years, $10 million, it's not obviously a massive contract, but it's at least enough evidence for me to say, okay, they value him to their team and they're going to use him. You say, okay, where's the opportunity? Because that's as soon as you see a signing, as soon as you see a player on a team that didn't dominate last season, you say, why didn't he? Where's the opportunity? There are 64 vacant red zone opportunities for Rex Burkhead. And that's actually red zone carries, not even counting receptions. And 14 touchdowns. That's what Gillislee and Lewis leave behind. I say behind with Gillislee on the roster because we all know Gillislee is not going to beat out Rex Burkhead. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. Gillislee is not good. Burkhead is. Burkhead had 5 touchdowns in his final 4 weeks before being injured last season. We all know that I trash LeGarrette Blount a lot, but when he was on the Patriots, how many touchdowns did he have? The goal line back of the New England Patriots is extremely valuable. Like, I don't even care if you're not that great at football. Like, I don't think Blunt's all that good, but if he came back and we knew he was going to be the goal line back, I'd draft him. And Burkhead's going to be the goal line back. He can also catch. So it's extremely valuable when you have the goal line back on a prolific offense that can also catch because they're not going to take him off the field in obvious passing downs. Will they sometimes? Absolutely. They're obviously going to take him off the field. Sonny Michel has a little bit of a knee injury right now. Coming into the draft, we knew that the knee was an issue. We also know that fumbling's an issue. So there's a lot of risk with Sonny Michel, and there are just a lot of paths for Burkhead to dominate this season. We saw it starting last season, then he had the unfortunate injury. Can't predict injuries. It could happen to anyone. So I think he's a phenomenal pick because he's obviously not injury prone, but he can catch and he's going to get that goal line work. Before we do our next player, how about the stat of the day? Yesterday's stat of the day was which receiver had the best catch rate in the playoffs last season? Answer? Nelson Aguilar. Caught 15 of 18. Winner of the stat of the day was George K. Let's do today's stat of the day. This one is from playerprofiler.com. Which running back had the highest weekly volatility in 2017? So weekly volatility would be like, I got a ton of points and then I got barely any points. You know, guys that swing really high in their output. That's what volatility is. So which running back had the highest weekly volatility in 2017? Moving on to a guy that I think has been undervalued a little bit even while he's rising. He's rising in drafts into the 3rd round now. Is DERRIUS GUICE. And I just believe that the talent is there. I think that he is one of the best running backs in the league. I don't put him into the elite caliber yet because we haven't seen it in the NFL. But from everything that I have seen, he is an absolute monster. Now, I am recording this as that game is going on right now. And he did go down with an injury. It doesn't look bad, but we've seen absolutely nothing from it. He's going to have an MRI. I guess you guys watching this today. The results of that MRI are going to tell us everything. So if the MRI comes out and he tore his ACL, I don't think that obviously happened, but let's just say that happened, okay? Skip to the next guy. For this spot, skip to the next guy, and it'll be Funchess and, I don't know, like Royce Freeman. Those are 2 guys I really like. Colts running backs are really good picks, especially Wilkins and Mack right now. But if he tore his ACL or really any sort of knee injury that he's going to miss maybe 2 or more weeks, don't draft him at all. He's not going to drop far enough to be worth the pick. So don't draft him if that happened. I'm going to do this analysis based off he's fine. But let's say he's okay. 91st percentile height-adjusted speed score, most comparable to Ezekiel Elliott. And you say, well, Nick, he can't catch. Where have we seen his inability to catch? Because he had 0 drops last season, and LSU just doesn't throw to the running back. So expecting him to have this massive workload out of the backfield, we can't do that. So when I look at GUICE, I see someone who, on the ground, is better than Leonard Fournette. If I'm just comparing the 2 LSU running backs, I personally think he's a better running back than Leonard Fournette. And I have yet to see any indication that he's a worse receiving back. His quarterback is better. His quarterback situation is better. Their defense is not as good. And that is something that correlates. You know, the running back 1 correlates very nicely with the defense. But Leonard Fournette I've seen go in the 1st round, and GUICE is going in the 3rd round. And from what I tell from their talent GUICE is a better running back. And when I run through projections, I'm putting in about 250 carries and around 30 receptions, because I don't think Chris Thompson's going to be back to Chris Thompson. Now, I have no evidence because guess what? We haven't seen him. We've just not seen Chris Thompson playing games since he went out with the injury last season. And there is nothing that indicates that he's going to be back to 100% right away. So to start the season, if he's not 100% and we get GUICE in on third down, he's going to be a running back 1 that's going as running back 17. And if Thompson isn't back to the way he was, and then they look at the talent of the two players, because remember, teams are trying to win. So they're not just going to throw Thompson out there when he's not effective, if he's still recovering from the injury. So I think GUICE is being very undervalued right now. I think he's a phenomenal pick because they're going to feed him the football, and I think he can get enough receptions to basically match Leonard Fournette's production. And if he does that, it's a phenomenal pick in the third round. But again, make sure the MRI came out okay. Next guy on this list is Alex Collins. Going in the fourth round, he had the highest run grade in the entire league last season. Now, technically, I just lied to you because Corey Grant actually beat him. But Corey Grant didn't get very many carries. When you filter by 50 carries, it's Alex Collins. 13th in yards per carry after contact and 14th in breakaway percentage. And he faced one of the toughest run schedules, and they were not that good. The Ravens were not that good of an offense last season. They bring in wide receivers to help Joe Flacco, or maybe Lamar Jackson. Wasn't, the greatest for a first showing for Lamar. I tend to think it's probably going to be Flacco, unfortunately. I don't think Flacco's that good, but I think he's probably going to be the quarterback all season. But if Lamar was the quarterback, it'd be a boost to the run game because mobile quarterbacks help the running backs. But regardless, they have a phenomenal defense, and they faced one of the toughest run schedules last year. Warren Sharp says that they have the 10th easiest schedule this season, including the 5th easiest in run defense efficiency. So you go from a very difficult schedule where he had the highest run grade in the league and posted exceptional numbers, even while only starting a very small portion of the year, and now you bring in more weapons on offense to further unstack the boxes, and you make it an easier schedule. In the fourth round, I think that's a phenomenal pick. So easy buy right now. I always bring up Dixon because I always think of there's always a world in which something happens. But Dixon just can't stay healthy right now. He's been suspended times. He's been hurt. Now he's hurt again. Then he comes back. I've seen another report today that he's banged up. So Dixon needs to prove it to me first. So I'm not drafting Dixon anymore. We're pushing him all the way down the rankings. Take Collins, because Collins has proven it to us. Collins has proven that he's a great running back, that he's a capable receiver, and Dixon has really proven us nothing at this point. He can't stay healthy, and I need to draft players that can stay healthy. I don't like taking a massive amount of risk, and I think that Collins provides a great floor and a lot of upside to go with that. So very confident in him in the early fourth round. The final guy, you guys have heard us bring up Chris Godwin on a ton of videos because I just love this guy. I don't know if I just have too much of a love for him, but I think he's an awesome football player. And that's what I like drafting on my team. You run through this list and you just get good football players. Cooper Kupp, BURKHEAD, GUICE, Collins. They're all just good football players that are being undervalued for how good they are. 95th percentile SparkX score, 89th percentile speed score, 77th percentile breakout age, and he's going as wide receiver 62 in the 14th round. So he's essentially free. The Bucs have a very difficult schedule. That is a problem. Winston's suspended to start the year. That's a problem. They have a 6.5 win total, so they're probably not going to win a ton of games. But here's the thing. Teams that are down, throw the ball. So they're playing difficult opponents that are going to score points on them, and they're not going to win a ton of games. That means they're going to throw the ball more than they normally would. That's why I'm not drafting Ronald Jones this year. I'm not drafting Mike Evans because he's not going to be a target monster. And the reason for that is Godwin is going to play. He finished last season with 12 or more PPR points in the final 4 weeks, 13th in yards per reception, so he can get that deep ball. And Adam Humphries is trash. He honestly is not good. Godwin had the 9th most yards per run from the slot. Godwin can really play anywhere. In college, he played all on the outside, didn't play much in slot. He moved into the slot a little bit last season, but not much. He is not a slot receiver. He can play the slot, though. So I'll be interested to see how they come out in preseason, where he's playing on the field, because ideally you want Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, and Godwin on the field, but then who plays the slot? Because they're all kind of outside receivers. So I'm very interested to see what they do. I expect him to be out there in wide receiver 3 sets. So if there are 3 wide receivers in the field, I expect Godwin to be out there. I think that the Bucs would be very, very foolish not to do that. And I just think that they're not going to be. I think that they're going to be a smart team, which I know I shouldn't do a lot of the times. I shouldn't assume teams are smart. But I think that he's going to be out there in 3 wide receiver sets, and he has the upside to be out there on 2 wide receiver sets. He has the upside to finish this season across from Mike Evans. And that's really, really good value in the 14th round. So worst case scenario, you just drafted someone in the 14th round that's going to get you points, because it's not like he's not going to play on the field. But the upside is fantastic. And let's just pretend for a second. We never want injuries to happen to anyone. But you have to think through people's path to success. I think he can be successful with no injuries. But let's say Mike Evans were to go down. Chris Godwin is what? Probably a wide receiver 2, right? He's probably like a mid to high wide receiver 2. That's the upside he has in the 14th round as wide receiver 66 or 62, sorry. So there's just no way he doesn't finish the season beating this ADP, which is why I think he's an awesome pick. So those are the 5 picks I believe at the current moment in the draft season are the 5 best picks. So if you are drafting right now, try to target all of these players onto your team. Maybe you can't get all of them, but maybe you're going to have a different opinion than me. So maybe get 3 or 4 of them onto your team. If you're playing in an auction league, try and get all of them onto your team. But I think that these guys are going to provide a lot more value than their current price in drafts. So that's the end of this one. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, how about we hit that like button? How about we subscribe if you're new to the channel? Thanks for watching.